All right, gentlemen, are you ready to begin construction of your blades? Well, speaking of construction, in the first round of competition, you'll be using these backhoe buckets. Your first challenge is to forge your blade in your signature style, harvesting metal from these backhoe buckets.
Oh, of all the things I thought about, all the things I prepared for, I was not prepared for bulldozer parts.
Your 3-hour forge time starts now. What steel is usable on those buckets?
The most hardenable steel on that bucket are the teeth. That's where you're gonna get a lot of wear resistance.
Getting my metal into the forge first feels great. Makes me feel like I can maybe relax a little bit since I've got my piece off so much sooner than the other guys.
It's going well. I'm making a knife.
I'm going to go for the side of the bucket. That's going to be the quickest to cut.
Keith is just cutting a piece of steel out of the side of the bucket, and that's what he's going to work with.
I hope not.
Is there a lot of carbon in that metal?
It is a hardenable steel, but it's not hardenable like the stuff that we're used to. What you've got there is too soft.
There's a real simple way for these smiths to know if they've got hardenable material. Take a small piece of it, get it red hot, quench it, and see if it snaps.
I just want to forge a good high-carbon steel. So I'm gonna go for the teeth if I can get them off. I'm cutting, and the grinder wheel's gone. So I went through, and I'm cutting again, and there's another grinder wheel gone.
That's 4 discs already.
Torch it.
You know, if you haven't used a cutting torch before, you don't get them set up right, they don't cut right.
You know, I think what Riley might be failing to realize is that these backhoe buckets are used to dig in really tough ground, and wailing on that with that hammer is not going to move that steel anywhere.
No.
The power hammer has its place, but I like to do everything by hand. This is an exhibition of what I can do, not what the power hammer is capable of.
Sam's technique for hammering seems to be to reach to heaven and bring that down with a vengeance.
There's a Rocky film I really like where the big man himself goes to Russia and fights this supreme Russian juggernaut named Ivan Drago. Well, feels an awful lot like I'm going up against 3 Ivan Dragos.
Robotatu serne, Tobrich.
Right away when I put it on the power hammer, something's not right. It doesn't move right. I'm seeing bits and bubbles that shouldn't be happening as the steel's moving. Eventually, I start to see that the tooth is not actually a solid piece. It has a soft core.
That core could have been removed before you started his forging process.
Even if I flatten it, it's going to have air pockets. It's going to have inclusions. It's going to be weak. I may not have a knife to present to the judges.
Oh, whoa, whoa!
Oh!
In
Right
the water
into the
bucket.
You abandoning it?
Yep.
Steel fails sometimes, especially when you're using recycled and salvaged steels. You don't know what you're actually getting until you start to use it.
John is starting over.
He's cutting on the side of the bucket, as opposed to where he might be drawing a hardened steel.
This will be an interesting first round. If we have competitors turn in mild steel blades,
If they don't harden a blade, then they haven't turned in a hardened blade.
Riley looks like he's made a large cheese spreader.
Making a spatula.
The knife's not quite as thick as I thought it was. So I'm worrying that I haven't cut out a big enough piece. I'm drawing out the tang so it becomes part of the blade.
I marked out my 10 inches for my blade here. So I'm gonna start drawing the tang out past my kill line. This is death. If it's not this long, I'm out.
We should have a quench coming up here in just a minute with Sam. He's right on the edge.
Ready?
I felt excited for him, too. I almost started clapping.
Look at that. You got that gorgeous hardness line? Oh, yes!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, shut down your machines. Drop your tools.
This is gonna be interesting. Anybody else shaking harder than they've ever shook before?
Yeah.
All right, judges, let's go ahead and discuss each blade's strengths and weaknesses. We'll start with Keith's on the end.
Very interesting design that Keith presented us. You've got a pointer that definitely lends you to thinking it's going to be thrusting. We are doing testing on chopping. And the widest part, where you're going to be trying to do most of the effective chopping, is very close to the handle. Ideally, you want it to be in the middle of the blade or at the tip, so it's more accurate when you're doing your chops.
All right, let's move on to Sam's blade. What do you think?
I like the blade profile. It's similar to what he drew, yet it is very thick. Handle's a little too long and too skinny, but it was interesting to watch him. He was having a lot of fun.
Let's take a look at Riley's blade. Dave?
The turkey feather, as he called it.
Turkey feather.
Riley pushed through. He beat this thing flat. He was having some issues out there, you could tell. The problem is anything this thin on anything outside of a kitchen knife, it'll work, but it's just not supported.
So let's move on to John's blade.
This blade is pretty saxy in its profile. Everything else is pretty lumpy. Looks like it was ground on the highway, like I was hanging out the car, grinding like that. I mean, it has the roughest grind of all the blades. It needs a lot of work.
Have you made your final decision?
Yeah.
Let's go tell our smiths. All right, bladesmiths, the judges have examined your work and they've made a final decision. It's time for one of you to surrender his weapon and leave the forge. Riley, your blade did not make the cut.
Riley, this was one of our tougher challenges.
Yeah.
But the problem is it being so thin, it's just not executed in a way that's gonna hold up to our chop and slice tests. And that's why we gotta let you go.
Okay.
Riley, please surrender your weapon.
I wish I had taken more out of the bucket. I didn't cut off enough material, so I had to draw it out, and that made it just too thin. I came in here as a punk rock blacksmith, and I'm leaving here as a punk rock blacksmith, just with a little more drive in me.